We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello friends, in my previous session, we have discussed about use of least square estimation technique to solve electrical circuits. Today, we are going to discuss the use of least square estimation technique for power system. Prior to that, let me recall the few points which we have discussed. Over here, it is very important to form H matrix from the topology of this network. In this example, which we have discussed previously, we have 5 measurements Z1 to Z5 and 2 state variables which are V1 and V2. So we have formed our H matrix by using superposition theorem, and case 1 and case 2 are discussed. So over here in this numerical, which we have discussed in my previous session, which has 2 state variables which n is equals to 2 and measurement variables m is equals to 5. So we have proceed like this. As you have recalled this all, that we will proceed gradually. Now after first iteration, we have derived the value of V1 and V2. V1 approximate value or almost true value, that is 15.0034, while V2 will be equals to 9.9027 volt. However, we can still improve this result. In order to improve this result, we have to increase the iteration count. How to proceed further? That procedure is explained in next slide. Over here, initially ZC, we have already obtained X hat. X hat is the estimated value for state variables. If we multiply with H, we will have a calculated value. Then from calculated value, we can derive our ZC. ZC is equals to H. ZC is equal to H into X hat. Now, then after we will find error. After first estimation, we will once again find H by using that as a Zm. And if we proceed further, we will reduce the amount of error after first iteration. Now let's move in and follow this procedure by a simple another example. Over here we have 4 meters Z1 to Z4, means M is equals to 4, while we have weighting factor W1 and W2 for instrument 1 and instrument 2, it is 100%, while W3 and W4 it is 50%. Now what exactly we are doing? We have 2 state variables as in my previous example, and we want to find out the value of V1 and V2. From the topology of this network, initially we need to identify the value of H matrix. How we will maintain this? By applying superposition theorem. So if we apply the superposition theorem, then we have to take V1 is equals to 1 volt and V2 should be short circuited. The equivalent resistance will be found, that is equals to 1.6 volt. Over here, it is clearly mentioned that if we consider V1 as a 1 volt and we will find out the equivalent circuit, then this 1 volt, 1 ohm resistance will comes in the parallel combination of this one and this 1 ohm. Now, this two also in series for 1 ohm and this 1 ohm resistance. So aggregate that will be 1 plus 1 parallel 1 plus 1 parallel 1. If we resolve this, and then we will get R equivalent is equals to 1.6. Z1 and Z2, they are ammeters. Hence, the value for Z1 is equals to 0.625, while Z2 is equals to minus 125. Now, point minus 125 over here, minus sign indicates that the polarity of the meter which we have connected and the current flowing, actual current flowing, the direction of actual current flowing is opposite to each other. Likewise, we can find Z3 and Z4 also. Both are voltmeter. Accordingly, we will find H1 to H41. Over here, the size of matrix H, that is M cross N. As I previously mentioned that M is equals to 4 and N is equals to 2. Hence, the size of H, that will be 4 cross 2. So by this, we will have a first column matrix. From here, we will get the second column matrix and we can easily form H. This is our H matrix. After forming H matrix, we will get H transpose into W. So over here, as I explained earlier, that weightage matrix, it is nothing but the diagonal matrix, and off diagonal elements of this matrix, that will be 0. So hence it is 4 cross 4 M cross M matrix. Only diagonal elements remains present. Rest of the components are 0. This is H transpose, and the multiplication of this two, that will be a 4 cross 2 matrix. Now our motive is to find G matrix. So G is equals to H transpose W into H. Based on this equation, which we have already derived using least square estimation, we can find out the value of G. G is a constant and its size is N cross N, where N is equals to 2 in this case. Now, to find out the value of x1 and x2, we have to apply this formula using, say, a weighted least square estimation. It is G inverse H transpose W into Z. Over here, Z1 to Z4, that we know. If we substitute this value, we will get the value V1 is equals to 16.0072 and V2 is equals to 8.0261. Now, friends, over here, we want to find out if the value of any one variable or measure variable will be altered or will be changed, then what will be the next aggregate effect? So over here, if we find Z1 to Z4, it is Hx, then this is my Z1 to Z4 calculated. So this is Zc, not Zm. Okay, so the value or subtractive value from Zn and Zc, that will gives me error. So in order to find out error, if I apply this equation, then I will get error. This is my measured value and this is my Hx, that is calculated value. So the highest amount of value which I receive in terms of error, it is this one. Now suppose what I am doing, that over here I am putting Z4 is equals to 4.4. Previously it was 5.1. If I alter this value and once again makes the calculation, then the value for x1 and x2, they are this 15.86 and 7.7, which is not the same as the previous case. And now my error, that will be also increased. So over here, after changing this fourth variable only, now my error will be increased at that much large value. Previously it was only the highest value of error, that is this much. Now my value is very high. So as we conduct the variation in any number of measurement, then accordingly will our state estimated value or error, that will be increase or decrease. So while identifying or by selecting the number of measured variable, we should be very selective, and hence we will understand the concept of bad data identification and elimination. So if we have a degree of freedom, what is degree of freedom? As we all know that number of measured variable is higher than number of state variables, then m minus n, number of measured variables minus number of state variables, it is known as a degree of freedom. So normally in our case or in state estimation, we have a higher number of measured variable and less number of state variables. So suppose we have 3 state variables and we have 5 equations. So 3 state variables can be derived by using any 3 equations. So which 3 are selected, that will be the main thing we need to identify, and that we will discuss while we will discuss bad data treatment identification and its treatment. Now let's discuss the most awaited thing, that how we can apply state estimation in power system. For that we have to make few assumptions. First one, that is we have assumed that load is balanced, means at every phase the load will connected which is equal. Error of meters are known, as well as telemetering error and digitization is known. So hence by this two, second and third, we can say that the weighting factor is known to us, or it is easy to calculate the weighting factor for each measurement measured variable or instrument. Now our function is defined as, if suppose we have m major variate, then sigma I is equals to 1 to m wi sli, that is if we are discussing for line values. So this is measured value and this is calculated value whole square. So if we apply this theorem, then consider that we have two bus system, bus number P and bus number K. In between, we have two measuring instruments, that this is connected nearby to P and this is connected nearby to K. Over here, as we have discussed in load flow studies, it has two shunt elements and one series element. Now, if we apply load flow equations, then we can easily write that the apparent power, it is a product of Vp into Ip conjugate. This equation is for bus equation. So we have to convert this equation for line equation. How we will convert? Later on we will also discuss. So let's start with the apparent power at bus number P, which is a product of bus voltage and Ip conjugate. Now Ip conjugate is nothing but, if we elaborate in terms of the load flow, it is Vp minus Vk into Ypk plus its shunt component, that is Yp0 into Vp conjugate. So over here, it we further calculate and make it more compact. Our equation will be Vp as a take it as a common out, and Vp minus Vk, that will be as it is, divided by, instead of Ypk conjugate, I can write 1 by Zpk plus Yp conjugate, and Vp is as it is. Now from this, we want to identify the value for this line power. So for this line power, I can substitute this formation as it is, as well as this. Now line power, that will be based on the difference between Vp and Vk. If voltage over here and voltage over here, that will be changed, according to that the reactive power flow will change, and based on delta angle, active power will change. So the apparent power which is flowing through this line only, it is nothing but indicated by this difference. So if I take this one as a main term, then now my value will be Zpk will be come out over here, and this will be Vp. This Vp will becomes Ep, because now we are considering as a bus voltage. It is not the difference between bus voltage from this line. So hence it is termed as a EP. So Zpk divided by EP conjugate into SLI. Over here, what exactly we are doing? It is Vp conjugate minus Vk conjugate. So in order to remove that conjugate, rest of the terms are multiplied by this conjugate. So hence, once again, if we multiply with the conjugate, then this two conjugate at Vp and Vk, that will be eliminated, and other terms where conjugate not there, it should be implemented. Means this term, it is denoted by conjugate, and this term SLI, apparent power, that will be also allotted conjugate sign. Rest of the term will be as it is. This will be multiplied over here. Hence, it will be Zpk, Yp0 and Vp. Now, as we know that Vm is nothing but difference between two bus voltages. So if multiple buses or multiple lines are connected, then it can be written as V1 first line between P and K, second line between V and K, and third line between V and K. So over here, if we have a m number of variables, then we can consider that every bus or every line we have connected a one measurement unit. So now we have to identify everyone in terms of H matrix. So over here, this thing we are denoting by H inverse Sm conjugate minus K. So what exactly we are doing, that H inverse Sm conjugate minus K should be written, this 14.14 equation is determined from this equation 14.13. So the multiplier of SLI conjugate, it is Zpk in divided by EP conjugate. So inverse of this means H is equals to EP by Zpk or Vp by Zpk. Over here, if the angle is 0, then EP is equals to EP conjugate. If the angle will be delta, then we have to take care of this thing. So H, that is nothing but bus voltage divided by impedance of that line. Now what is K? K is nothing but difference of a product of impedance as well as the shunt impedance admittance. So over here we can easily derive that over here H diagonal matrix, that is Vp conjugate Zp, where K is equals to n minus 1 dimension, and that is Zpk Ypk into Vp, Yp0 into Vp. So if we substitute this, then this is my measured and this is my calculated power. It is whole square. So in terms of matrix, what I exactly have to do, one of this I have to take as a transpose, and second one is it should be as it is. Then only that product of these two is possible. So I have to separate out two terms. First one, that is S measure, apparent power measure minus apparent power calculated transpose, weighting factor as it is, and second matrix, that is as measured power, and this is calculated power. So this is nothing but a broad term of this equation. Now Hc is equals to HVC by Hk, as we have previously determined this value. Hc is equals to HVM Vc into Hk. Suppose over here. Now what is Vm? Suppose this is H inverse, so it is nothing but denominator term. If we derive in terms of Sm, then it should be multiplied with K, that is Hk, and this is HVM. So instead of Sm, what exactly we can write? Sm conjugate is equals to H into Vm plus Hk. So same thing we have written, that Sc calculated is equals to H into Vc plus Hk. So now in terms of Vm, we can write HVM plus Hk, while in terms of calculated value, it is HVC plus Hk. Same thing we can write for transpose as well as for simple matrix. Now the beauty of this equation, when we will substitute the value of Sc and Sm in forms of H into Vc and H into K, at that point of time, Hk and Hk, they are opposite sign, hence they will cancel out each other. So now my simple equation will be Vm minus Vc, this is Vm minus Vc, and H transpose, that will be the product of this. Over here, once again, this Hk and this Hk, that will be cancelled out. Hence, once again, it is Vm minus Vc, that the product of H. So now see, this is nothing but the same kind of form which we will get in terms of G, where we have applied that G inverse H into W into Zm. So same kind of thing we have derived if we apply this least square weighted least square estimation technique for power system. Now in load flow study, we have already determined that line bus or V line, that is equals to incidence matrix into V bus. So V bus is V1, V2, V3, V4. Now if we want to identify this incidence matrix, at that time the direction of current, it is very important. So A into V bus, that will gives us the line value. So over here Vc is nothing but the product of A into V bus. Now over here we have to separate out. The main thing is over here the V vector is separate out into two terms, because one of them, or in n number of system, we have considered one bus, that will be a slack system. And if that slack bus is there, it is need not to carry out calculation for voltage. So if suppose we are treating our first bus, that will be the slack bus, then we need not to derive calculation for this first bus. It will be denoted as a B. So what is small b? Small b is nothing but the first column of your incidence matrix, and rest of the component, it is capital B. Okay, Vs is nothing but the voltage of the slack bus, while Vb you have to derive by following manner, that A into V bus. Okay, so over here Vc is equals to incidence matrix into V bus, but it will be separate out into two components. Small b is nothing but the column of that bus which is treated as a slack bus, and B, capital B, is nothing but the rest of component of incidence matrix except small b, and Vb is nothing but the bus voltage, is Vs is nothing but the magnitude of slack bus. Okay, so by this way we can separate out our A into two components, capital B and small b. If we substitute the value over here, we will have Vm into Vb minus Vbs. From this equation, we are directly substitute the value of Vc from 14.17, and from 14.17 we will easily derive this equation 14.18. Over here Vm as it is, instead of Vc we will write capital B into bus voltage minus small b into slack bus. H transpose W into H as it is, as in equation 14.16, and rest of the term, that is Vm minus B into Vb minus B into Vs. So as we know that first order partial derivative, that will give us the condition for minima, and second order derivative will be positive. Hence we can confirm that this condition will satisfy for a minima part. So if we further calculate it, then we can easily derive the equation that by reshuffling few terms, we can easily determine B transpose D into B into Vb, V bus is equals to B transpose D into Vm minus B into Vs, where what is D? D is nothing but just like G. It is H transpose W into H. So keep this thing in mind. In simple circuit, you have to determine the value of G, while in case of power system, you need to determine the value of D. And both equations are equal, that is H transpose W into H. Okay, so by this formula, we can easily derive this value. Now see, in order to clear that concept, let us discuss one numerical based on this. Afterwards, we will determine the algorithm and everything. We will discuss algorithm and iteration count also. But first, after discussing this formula, let us discuss the equation, and afterwards, let's discuss a numerical. So when we are discussing the numericals, we can easily get the idea. So this is our numericals. Over here we have three bus number 1, bus number 2 and bus number 3. The impedance between bus number 1 and bus number 2, it is 0.05 plus j zero point 0.2. From 2 to 3, that is 0.075 and 0.25. So this and impedance of this line and this line is no. Now power is also given S1, S2, S3 and S4. What is S1? S1 is the power which is flowing from bus number 1 to bus number 2. S2 is the power which is flowing from bus number 2 to bus number 1. Likewise, S3 is the power which is flowing from bus number 2 to bus number 3. And S4 is the power which is flowing from bus number 3 to bus number 4. And this complex power, value of this complex power, it is given S1 to S4. Okay. Now, more precisely, we are going to discuss the weighting factor. In order to discuss weighting factor, over here, percentage of accuracy is given for megawatt and MVR meters, which has a full scale deflection is also given. So, in order to determine the value of weighting factor, we have to discuss the empirical formula. This empirical formula we have already discussed. It is 50 into 10 raised to minus 6 in my previous lecture into C1 into the value minus C2 into full scale deflection. So if we substitute this equation, putting C1 is equals to 0.025 and C2 is equals to 0.005 minus, then this will be the equation for W1. After getting value for weighting factor for bus number 1, we can easily derive for other meters also, be W2, W3 and W4. As we have derived that we have 4 meters, hence we have 4 weighted matrix. Now, weighting matrix is determined by this way, that off diagonal elements, all the off diagonal elements are 0, only diagonal elements remain present, and its value is nothing but what we have derived. So 10 raised to minus 4, it is a common part, and rest of the part which will be in multiplying to that, it is W1, W2, W3 and W4. As we have discussed in theorem also, H matrix, it is nothing but V1 conjugate by Z12. So the value for from 1 to 2 or 2 to 1, Z12 will remains equal. And similarly, from 2 to 3 or 3 to 2, this will remains constant. Z23 will remains constant. So over here, this is the power from 1 to 2. So V1, bus number 1, bus number 2, bus number 2 and bus number 3. So this is nothing but in order to determine H matrix, we have to take the ratio of two terms, voltage divided by line impedance. Okay, keep this thing in mind, it is line impedance. Okay, and that's why it is explained. Over here, bus number 1, 2 and 3 are connected and 4 measurements are taken. In order to solve this numerical, we have assumed that initially the voltage at bus number 1, bus number 2 and bus number 3 is value of 1.05 pu. Now, if we assume a slack bus as a bus number 1, so in order to determine small b and capital B will be very easy. So now let me discuss this one first, that H matrix is derived by V1 into Z12. This is V2 divided by Z12. This is V2 divided by 23 and this is V3 divided by Z23. And these are the results. I can easily determine the value of D, that is H transpose W into H, and these are my values. So from determining the value of H, I can easily determine the value of D. Now this is my incidence matrix. How to determine the incidence matrix? Incidence matrix is number of lines into number of buses. We have 4 lines from 1 to 2, 2 to 1. This is 2 to 3 and 3 to 2. So over here, bus number 1, bus number 2 and bus number 3. First column will represent bus number 1. Second column will represent bus number 2. And third column will represent bus number 3. Okay. While the first row will represent line 1, that is from 1 to 2. Second row will represent line 2, which is from 2 to 1, bus number 2 to bus number 1. Now, this third one, that is from bus number 2 to bus number 3, and this is from bus number 3 to bus number 2. So, if we calculate incidence matrix, then current will flow from 1 to 2. Hence, the elements of incidence matrix, it is 1, -1 and 0 for row 1, because this is my bus 1, this is bus 2 and this is bus 3. For this second row, my power will flow from 2 to 1. Hence, this is -1, this is 1 and this is 0. For third row, it is from 2 to 3. So hence, the first column will be 0 because it is not participating in this. Second one, that is current is leaving from bus number 2, hence it is 1, and it is entering into bus number 3. So that is equals to, it is -1. And this will be nothing but 0, -1 and 1, because this is power is flowing from 3 to 2. Now after forming incidence matrix, we have to assume that bus number 1 or any bus number, that will be a slack bus. Here in this case, we have determined that bus number 1, that will be our slack bus. So small b is nothing but this column. So we have separate out small b, that is first column of my incidence matrix, and its elements are 1, -1, 0, 0, 1, -1, 0, 0. While rest of the component, this second column, third column, and all the rows, they are my capital B. So this portion, it is my capital B. So now I have separate out my incidence matrix into two components, small b and capital B. After determining D, I can easily determine the value of VB, that is bus voltage, after first iteration, and equation is known to us. Now the value of each element is also known to us. So if we substitute this, then VB should be equals to, this is B transpose D into B inverse, it is represented by this matrix. BD, Vm minus Vc will be determined by this. Now BD into B into Vs. What is B into Vs? B into Vs. So this is my B, small b, and Vs is nothing but slack bus voltages. So as we have previously discussed, that slack bus voltage is 1.05 at the angle of 0. Hence, this is small b and this is my slack bus voltages. If we calculate, then we will get the bus voltages for bus 2 and bus 3, because we have already assigned bus number 1 as a slack bus. So hence, V2 and V3 per unit value we have determined. So after this, we can determine the results that V1 slack bus, it is not going to alter its value, hence it is 1.05. V2 is equals to 1.0476 minus J, 0.0985, B3 is equals to 1.0840 minus J 0.3144. So by after second iteration, if we provide a same thing, then once again we will derive few values and see the variation is very minor. Over here, it is almost a same kind of value will be obtained. But in order to represent the effect of iteration count, we have carried out further iteration. So after few iterations, after first iteration, this value is not going to change because this bus number 1 we have considered as a slack bus, while bus number 2 and bus number 3, see, during zeroth iteration or our assumption that will be its value is 1.05. Now it is 1.0476 minus J 0.0985. After second iteration, it is 980. So the value or difference is 0.005 in imaginary terms, while over here it is almost 47.0047. That will be the difference. After third iteration, if you read this carefully, then the variation that will be very minor. So in most of power calculation or state estimation, only calculation that will be carried out up to third iteration. Or if we want to increase or decrease the iteration count, then we can proceed just like load flow studies by fixing the tolerance limit. Over here, normally tolerance limit that will be taken as 10 raised to minus 4. Okay, so always keep this thing in mind. In state estimation, the tolerance limit is mostly taken as 10 raised to minus 4, and after third iteration, whatever the result which you will get, they will almost equal to each other. So up to third iteration, mostly you will get the value which is equals to true value. So now, after discussing this, I hope that theoretical concept of this is very clear. So now let's get back to our theoretical sessions. Over here for theoretical, what exactly we did? Initially, we have determined this A matrix, separate out into small b and capital B. What else we'll do? We have formed H matrix. How we have formed H matrix? It is nothing but by this equation. It is Vz divided by Zpk. So by determining H, we can derive the value of D, and by using this equation, we can derive the value of bus voltages. We can increase and decrease the iteration count. See over here, the beauty of this is once we get the value of D, that will not remain changed after each iteration. That will remain constant. Same way, B and B transpose, that will be also remains constant. So the only thing which is keeps on changing, that is the value of VB after iteration. Rest of the components, small b and slack bus voltage, they all are remains constant. Secondly, the value of H, that will be also remains constant. So after getting the result for first iteration, you will find the value of others very easily. Okay, so only you need to find out the value of first iteration, and then most of the constant that will remain as it is. Only the bus voltage, updated value of bus voltage, you have to take care. So this is the algorithm when we have applied our least square estimation for power system. Initially, we have to form the matrix B, small b and W. That will be, W can be carried out, calculated by empirical formula, which we have discussed from incidence matrix, which can easily separate out capital B and small b. Initially, all the voltages are assumed. Determine the value of slack bus and do not carry the calculation for slack bus. Now, initially, iteration count will be 0. Calculate the value of H and D. H is equals to VB into ZP divided by ZPK, and D is equals to H transpose W into H. Then after compute the value for bus voltages, that is H inverse Sm minus K, and then after we have to sort out this equation while substituting the value of Bs and Bm only. If that will be below our or that will be less than our tolerance limit, it is okay. But if it is not, it is greater than our tolerance limit, then we have to increase the iteration count. So if 10 raised to minus this value, subtraction of iteration 0 to iteration 1, that will be greater than 10 raised to minus 4, then we have to increase the iteration count. Once again, it is need not to calculate this, this and this. Only we need to update the value of Vm over here. This is nothing but Vm after first iteration. Vs, that will be remains as it is because it is a slack bus voltages. Once again, now after first iteration and second iteration, if we take a subtraction of these two, once again we have to assure that it should be less than 10 raised to minus 4, which is our tolerance limit. If it is not there, then we have to carry out one more calculation, that is iteration count 3. And iteration count 3 will most probably will obey this condition of tolerance limit, and then the results will be printed. So now what are the limitations of this power line estimation? See over here, we have only considered the calculation of V and delta. Real and imaginary terms we will discuss afterwards, because whenever we have both the terms, active power, reactive power and all that, how we can derive the value of V and how we can compare it with the estimated value, that we will also discuss later on. So the first one, that based on measurement of the power flow in the lines, and therefore we does not acknowledge in the measurement such as real and reactive power at the bus. So as I mentioned earlier during theory sessions, that we are calculating for lines, it is not for bus. Second one, it does not recognize the voltage and current magnitude measured without phase angle. Keep this thing in mind, it is very important. Third one, it does not accept the measurement of varying accuracy of range of real and reactive power at a point. Means if measuring instrument is such that it offers the variable accuracies, then it is not accepted, or this power flow or state estimation does not compile with this, and it does not account for the measurement of corrupted by noise. Over here, noise is the biggest threat to this measurement. As we have already defined, noise is an unwanted disturbance which we have to encounter during measurement. So if it is corrupted by noise, then we have to take care of this thing. So these are the four limitations. They are very basic limitations. Once you understand this use of power estimator in our power system network, you can easily understand this. So till now, what topics we have discussed? It is first one, that is we have discussed about leak state estimation. Second one, it usage for a simple circuit, then after on a power circuit, and its drawback, that we have discussed. In my next session, we will discuss how bad data can be detected or identified, and that can be solved, as well as we will discuss the Gaussian probability curves and everything. And at the last, we will calculate this power flow estimation by using a Jacobian matrix. So this is all for today. Thank you for attending this session. We will once again meet in my state estimation part 3. Thank you so much. Take care.